Arcadian Vanguard presents The Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Tuesday, November 26, 2024. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with Monday Night Raw, broadcast live last night on USA Network from the Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona. In the main event, Bianca Belair defeated Nia Jax in a match to determine whose team would have the advantage in the Women's War Games match at Survivor Series. Belair pinned Jax after some outside interference from Bayley.
Here is your winner, Bianca Belair!
Bayley coming in, proving herself to Bianca. Did they just find the fifth member for War Games that they desperately need? A little bit of trust established.
The show opened with an in-ring confrontation between Damian Priest and world champion Gunther, which led to a brawl during which Priest gave Gunther a razor's edge through the announce table. Finn Balor and JD McDonough retained their World Tag Team title with a win over the War Raiders thanks to a distraction from Dominic Mysterio and Carlito. New Day members Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods had a heated argument in a backstage angle following their loss to Alpha Academy.
I'm the reason you became champion.
You're the reason that I became champion now, man. I was a Hall of Famer when you met me. That's why you asked me to be a part of this group, not the other way around. Don't you ever forget that. And you, of all people, shouldn't be talking about championships and titles because last time I checked, you still haven't won a singles championship by yourself, now have you? Woods, do you know why you have never been a world champion like me and like E? It's because you have not been good enough.
I was good enough to take your beatings for you, wasn't I? I was good enough to believe in you, wasn't I? Just like they believed in you. And what did we do with that belief? We turned it into Kofi Mania and we handed it to you. And what did you do with that, Kofi? You pissed it away on a silver platter in 6 seconds to Brock Lesnar.
In other results, Intercontinental Champion Braun Breaker lost to Ludwig Kaiser by disqualification due to interference from Sheamus. An American Made beat Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee thanks to interference from Chad Gable. Also on the show, it was revealed in a pre-taped segment by Adam Pearce that WWE Raw would be introducing a Women's Intercontinental Championship, with the first holder being determined in a tournament yet to come. In ratings news, SmackDown last Friday drew 1.578 million to USA Network, according to WrestleNomics. That's an increase of more than 25% over the previous week's record low viewership of 1.234 million. The rating in the 18 to 49-year-old demographic was a 0.46, an increase of more than 40% from the previous week's 0.32 demo rating. The Full Gear Go Home edition of Rampage from the same night drew 249,000 viewers to TNT, according to WrestleNomics. That's an increase of 1/3 in viewership from the previous week's audience of 186,000. The 18 to 49-year-old demo rating was a 0.09, up 50% from the previous week's 0.6 demo rating. In more WWE news, the main event for the return of Saturday night's main event to NBC will be Cody Rhodes defending the WWE Championship against Kevin Owens, according to an official announcement from WWE.com. The event is scheduled for Saturday night, December 14th at New York's Nassau Coliseum, site of the debut of the original Saturday night's main event back in 1985. In injury news, Jade Cargill, who was written off TV on SmackDown last week with a backstage attack angle, has indeed sustained a legitimate injury, according to Dave Meltzer of F4W Online. The severity of the injury was not known, but it was reported that she would be missing a minimum of 3 months. She is expected to be replaced in the Women's War Game match scheduled for Survivor Series. And finally, Big Boom AJ sustained a broken foot last Saturday prior to his match with QT Marshall on the pre-show of AEW Full Gear, according to Fightful Select. AJ reportedly kept quiet about the injury, not wanting to disappoint those who were tuning in to see the match. He was reportedly seen on crutches after the show. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, Just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News Podcast, and remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.